Hello everybody, and welcome back to mufcMPB here on YouTube. My name is Brooks, and today is Wednesday, the 1st of May. So this is the final month of the Premier League. This crazy Premier League season is going to be coming to an end pretty soon. Who will be the champion? I don't know, but I don't really care about that anymore because it doesn't involve Manchester United. We're going to be discussing in this episode a couple of potential incomings, a couple of potential outgoings, and a little bit of an update regarding the managerial situation at the club. But as you can tell by the thumbnail, the title, and the tweet we have on screen here, Manchester United are pressing and moving strongly to bring Adrien Rabiot to the club on a free transfer this summer. The title and thumbnail might also be another one of the potential incomings, but I think me personally, first of all, doesn't really make sense as a sentence. It's almost like a double negative. But what I think the situation here is, there's definitely a list of all of the different types of players that will be free agents this summer. We might be able to pick a couple of them up, but they will have a transfer list. They will have a dossier. It's like, if any of you have seen Sunderland Till I Die, I think there's a clip in there which a few of the staff members are going through potential signings to fill the striker position, and Zlatan Ibrahimovic was at the bottom of the list. The guy said, why am I looking at Ibrahimovic's name on this list? But that's not to say Sunderland think they can get Ibrahimovic. It's just that at every single professional club, pretty much, leading up to transfer windows, leading up to the time where you can make some signings or whatnot, there will be a list of literally every single possible person which fills each and every possible category. Now, when Sir Jim Ratcliffe was going to become part owner of Manchester United, it came out that he would be exploring the free transfer market this summer. And at the time, I think there was a lot of understandable reaction. It turns out the Qataris, with their unlimited money, aren't getting Manchester United, and instead it's Sir Jim Ratcliffe with a fraction of the money trying to explore the free market. Now, obviously, you'll be able to tell that the way it was reported is Ratcliffe doesn't want to spend any money, etc., etc. However, on the free market, there are some gems, and I've known about Adrien Rabiot, like you guys, since he was at PSG. I've also known about his situation, I guess, with his agent, who happens to be his mother, and I guess a bit of the trouble they do get into and have been into, not recently actually, to be fair to him, in the past. Now, those are two things which you don't really want to bring into Manchester United, regardless of the quality of the player. You don't want to bring in a potential headline maker. You don't want to bring in someone and their agent who could potentially just disrupt things and cause issues and friction and all of that negative stuff. You don't want to bring that in. So I can really understand why Manchester United have always been linked to him, because he is a good player. He is a fully fledged French international. He has World Cup experience. Believe he played in the World Cup final. I believe he was the guy who chipped the ball into Mbappe, who laid it off for Marcus Thuram before he volleyed it in the bottom corner. Adrien Rabiot is an experienced, very, very high quality player. And I think, especially in that central midfield position, we know better than other teams or better than other people that Manchester United have been struggling in the central midfield department for such a long time. And someone like Rabiot could have been bought in a few years ago. And I guess, for the reasons I said before, they might have been some of the factors in which they said, nah, we don't really want to have to bring this guy in. But now that he seems to sorted himself out, he's 29, so he's probably got about 4 or 5 years left at the top, and he's a free this summer. I see this as a win-win. You bring in someone who probably won't be on 350k a week. You'd be able to give him something reasonable, and I know something reasonable really should be around 125, 150, but he is a free transfer, so there will definitely be a bit of money added onto his weekly wage. This is someone who's tall, his physique, he's very strong, he can get across the ground relatively quickly, has a left foot like a rocket. He's a good all-rounder. I've seen him play on the left midfield a couple of times. He doesn't seem like the type of guy that is going to come in and be like, I need to play every single match, otherwise I'm going to start making a scene. I think he's grown out of that, because at the 2018 World Cup that France did go on to win, it was very well reported that he was on the reserve list for the squad. So just in case, for example, N'Golo Kante got injured and had to drop out, then Rabiot would be first reserve. He said, no, I don't want to be on first reserve. I'm taking myself off the list. Good luck, basically. And they went on and won it. Maybe he regrets that. Maybe he doesn't. We don't know. But he doesn't seem to be doing that type of stuff anymore. And to be honest, we've had enough of that at the club. So if we can prove, or if it's very well proven that he has really grown out of that, and I guess his mum doesn't have as much of a say on his career as she once did, I'd bring him in. I would 100% bring him in. I'm not saying bring him in and we're going to go and challenge for the title and he's definitely going to part a Kobbie Mainoo in the midfield. But this is more of a signing where he could start. He could be a first team starter. Or if he isn't, he's going to add insane depth and insane quality coming off the bench. Instead of having what used to be a Fred or a McTominay coming off the bench to I guess shore a game up to try and keep the ball, to up the ball retention. Instead, you have Adrien Rabiot, who's done it at the top level for literally his whole career. So I'm a big fan of this, and I think this is something which we should definitely get done. I haven't really seen any other news of another club coming in for him just yet, so I think we should try and get something like this done as soon as possible. And someone else who, if you want to be living on the side of recency bias, you might not want him, but this is someone who I've wanted up, not ever since he went to Barcelona, but ever since he really kind of established his first team status. Because, well, I'll just read you the report first. Manchester United and Bayern Munich are strongly interested in signing Ronald Araujo. Barcelona want him to stay. Araujo must decide if he wants to stay or leave. Basically, what I can break this down for you. He's been linked to Manchester United or Bayern Munich. That could be because Manchester United have actively ignited their interest. That could be because his agent might not think he's too certain on his client staying at the club, and he wants to offer him out to clubs that he knows could pay the money. This could be coming from Barcelona's side. This could be coming from the manager's side. All this is really saying is Manchester United are probably interested, and he needs to decide whether he wants to stay or leave at Barcelona, even though Barcelona want Araujo to stay. Now, at the beginning, I said something, if you want to go off recency bias, then you probably don't want him at Manchester United. And that's because a couple of the games which I've seen him play recently, he's looked a bit shaky. He's looked a bit immature, I guess, in his decision making. He looks a bit like he hasn't been playing at that level for a very long time. Now, for me, that's out of sorts, and you'll always hear people saying football form is temporary, class is permanent. And I'm on the latter for this. I think with Araujo here, you have someone there who shows all the signs of a centre-back who could be one of the best in the world. He has speed, he has good aerial ability, he's not too scared to get stuck into a challenge. He's good at reading the game, and he's, I'd say most of the time, good at timing his tackles. But recently what we've been seeing is someone who's rash in the challenge, I guess someone who's overcommitted. Was it against PSG? I believe it was the foul on Barcola. It just looked like he was just making a string of wrong decisions, and you start to think, really and truly, this is the first time he's played at that level in the Champions League. This is the first time he would have come up against the PSG at that stage. And I know PSG might not be the best team, but they're still one of the, I'd say, top 5 sides in Europe. They are in the semi-finals of the Champions League, of course, and it doesn't matter whether it's Mbappe, the best player in PSG, or the worst player in PSG. You're playing against PSG and you get exposed, and he did get exposed. Was that a sign into him not being able to reach the potential we think he can reach, or was that just a blip? We don't know, and I think that's just something I'd be more than happy to take a risk on, because he's young, and he's someone you could build the team around. In terms of the defence, you have Lisandro Martinez, you have Ronald Araujo. I think those are two centre-backs which complement each other very well, and I think it could work at Manchester United. What I will say is, though, if he is able to reach his full potential, I think you have a centre-back there who is better than someone like Antonio Rudiger. I think they might not be the same, but in my head, I categorise them as two aggressive centre-backs who aren't afraid to get into a challenge, who are very, very quick across the ground and show confidence. They are overtly confident on the pitch. You have videos and stuff and reports and interviews with Rudiger. He's a very happy guy, very light-hearted. He's a very religious guy, who's someone who follows his religion, and I think that comes into it as well. Someone who's dedicated, someone who has the dedication, someone who has the discipline. I think those are all good things which not just a footballer but anybody could benefit from in life. But what I think you have with Araujo is someone who's very, very similar to Antonio Rudiger. I think Antonio Rudiger is the better defender. I don't think he's the best defender in the world, but I think that's the mold that Araujo's going towards. And if he can carry on and progress past that, then great. But at the moment, I think he's just plateaued a little bit, and he's almost there. Look, he's almost there, and I think you could get something better out of him at Manchester United in a proper structure. So yes. Let me know in the comment section down below whether you'd want to go in for Araujo as well. But I definitely say yes to a move like this. This is going away from the Branthwaite, the Tapsoba, the Antonio Silva, who I don't think we should sign, the Inacio, and going for someone who's at the top already, playing for one of the best teams in the world. Performing at a relatively consistently high level. I think this is a definite. I honestly think this is a definite for Manchester United. I don't see why. Look, if there's an opportunity to sign him for a reasonable price, I'm not saying going for him for 95 million, but if you could get him for a reasonable price, then definitely. Whether or not Erik ten Hag is going to be the manager of Manchester United if we do sign Araujo is a different story, but reported by The Athletic is Manchester United continue to insist they are planning with Erik ten Hag for next season. Ineos believe that United's executive team above ten Hag did not provide him with the greatest chance to succeed. The lack of clear alternatives, the cost of firing him and hiring a replacement is also factored into Ten Hag's favour. Now, as I usually do, I will break this down for you guys again. Manchester United continue to insist they are planning with Erik ten Hag for next season. If you don't want Ten Hag, don't get your knickers in a twist. This is, I think, purely a political response. It would be silly. It would be... I need to find another word for immature. It wouldn't be very experienced of our higher-ups to come out and say 4 games remaining in the season, well, 5 games, I think it's 4 games actually, including the FA Cup final. It wouldn't be intelligent for these guys to come out and say, yeah, we're finished, Erik ten Hag is leaving at the end of the season, we're already looking for a replacement, blah, 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 blah. It just wouldn't end well for anybody. It just isn't the right thing to do. So of course they're going to say, yes, we are planning with Erik ten Hag for next season, because he's the manager right now. But what I take from this second sentence is Ineos believed that United's executive team above Ten Hag did not provide him with the greatest chance to succeed. That's just saying Murtaugh, Woodward, the Glazers, and anybody who was there before wasn't doing the best job, and they were leaving Erik ten Hag out to dry, basically. What I think we had at Manchester United before, we all know that people in the positions of power weren't footballing people, they were business people. And so in my head, the way I worked out was they're hiring the best possible managers. You've got Louis van Gaal, very, very experienced, Champions League winner, took the Netherlands on an insane World Cup run. He was probably one of the better options at the time, yes. Then you have Jose Mourinho, proven winner. You have Ralf Rangnick. He might not be a proven winner, but he is the godfather of the Gegenpress. He has the experience. He's the man that people like Klopp, people like Tuchel, Nagelsmann, they look up to him. So I can see why they would have brought him in on the same premises. Then they tried to kind of switch it up with Oli, a young manager, exciting manager, legend of the club. They were probably thinking, he's a legend. He won United the Champions League in '99. They're not going to turn their back on him. We probably have a little bit of a buffer zone with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But in reality, what happened was they brought them in because they thought, because these guys are experts at football and they have the experience, talking about Rangnick, Van Gaal, and Jose Mourinho, they're going to come in and be able to make up for the stuff that we don't know. They're going to come in with their football expertise, wave their magic wand, and everything's just going to work fine. And I think that's how it worked. It didn't. And I think Ineos, I guess, are alluding to that. The people above them just didn't give him the best opportunities to succeed. And of course, you're not going to succeed, or the chances of you succeeding aren't as high if there isn't a proper, clear, and well-structured structure. And I think Ineos are spot on. And of course, the business side of it comes into it. We've been linked to De Zerbi, Potter, Southgate, Amorim. We've been linked to... There was another manager who we've been linked to. Nagelsmann. We also even got linked to Hansi Flick. Apparently, we were keeping tabs on Xavi to see if he was going to stay at Barcelona. Regardless of all of these different candidates, The lack of clear alternatives, I think, speaks volumes. And I think it speaks volumes because in my head, when we were signing or linked to Erik Ten Hag, there wasn't a better person. Anybody else, it was just, no, it's Ten Hag, because he has the aura, he has the personality, he has the history, he has the quality, he has this team playing insane football. He took Ajax to the semi-finals of the Champions League, 1 minute away from taking them to the final of the Champions League. Basically, what I'm trying to say is there wasn't any competition. It was Erik Ten Hag's qualities trumps anything else that any of these other managers can bring. But what we have at the moment with all of these other managers is a few positives, but you also have a few negatives. Some managers are more negative than positive. Some managers are more positive than negative. But with Ten Hag, it was positive, positive, positive. We couldn't really find a negative. And I think that's what they mean by lack of clear alternatives. At the time, Erik Ten Hag was the clear and obvious choice to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer or Ralf Rangnick. But at the moment, I think because there's so many options, it's just a bit unclear. Sometimes too much of something isn't a good thing. And I think having too many options kind of means you're just looking for anybody. And what you really have is someone here in Erik Ten Hag who has the qualities of all of these different managers kind of mixed into one. And yes, he hasn't succeeded really this season, but there have been circumstances, and I think that's what that report is about. But moving on to a potential outgoing, reported by Mike McGrath, Manchester United expect Jadon Sancho to leave the club this summer. The only way we get rid of him, in my head, is if we get a decent fee for him, not 15-20 million. He's playing in the Champions League semi-final tonight, for God's sake. There's someone there who has quality. It just didn't work out for him at Manchester United. I'm honest to God, I'm still open for him to get another chance because of the quality he does have. And I think you're either on one side of the fence or the other. I'll probably get dragged for that. You know, why are you giving Jadon Sancho another chance? He disrespected his teammate. Yeah, I know. Everybody makes mistakes in it. We've seen players make mistakes before. Rooney tried to leave. Not saying it's on the same level, but Rooney tried to leave. Ronaldo forced his way out, came back. All of this stuff, it happens. It happens to the best of the best. It just does. I think Manchester United recently have just been so poor in terms of the quality that they're able to get from players, and I'd just give him another chance. But if he does leave this summer, you have to get at least 40 million for him. We can't be taking less than 40 million. But someone who I think we could take a bit less than 40 million for is Casemiro. Reported by, let me just get this right, Aksam Gazetesi. Galatasaray and Fenerbahce want to sign Casemiro this summer. Now, Casemiro is someone who definitely splits fan opinion in terms of the fan channels, in terms of the tacticos on Twitter. And me, some weeks I'm like, yeah, we need to get rid of him. But then other weeks I'm like, this is the type of experience that we need. But I think I'm on the far side now. I think I'm on the side where I'm comfortable enough to cash in for him. Because look, it's clear that he's declined since last season. And it hasn't just been a couple of weeks. It's been over the course of the season. I think we've got someone here who had played at the top level for so long. And he's won 5 Champions League, I think. He's a linchpin in one of the best sides in the history of football. He's the captain of the Brazilian national team, and he's respected worldwide. But there does become a time where your body just starts to slow down. And I think this is where we're at with Casemiro, because he was never lightning quick across the ground. But have we seen him try to track back? I think at the moment, either he's carrying an injury or something, or he's really, really just actually finishing. And I don't really argue with that, because it's a thing with Brazilian players. I think every culture is different. Parts of the world are different. You've got Japanese players, Asian players who can genuinely play until they are way past the 35, 36 because of the way they take care of their bodies, because of their diets, the foods they eat, the way they live. It's a different culture. You look at the Brazilian players, their culture is more having fun, expressing themselves. They look at Ronaldinho, look at Neymar, Look at R9. I know he picked up injuries, but his like body type and stuff like that. Look at Casemiro. These types of players, from when they're 20 to when they're 28, 29, they light the world on fire. Like, they're doing everything. You know, Brazil produced some of the best players in the world, but in terms of being able to remain the best players in the world for a substantial amount of time, like a Cristiano Ronaldo, like some of these other comparing anyone to Cristiano Ronaldo is silly, but comparing other players to Brazilian players who are able to stay at the very, very, very top for a long amount of time, it doesn't happen that much. Ronaldinho from 01, 02, I'd say 03, which was when he moved to Barcelona, to about 08, 09, 6 years, he was at the top, and then it was like it's like he fell off. Neymar at Barcelona continued to tear it up at PSG, then all of a sudden it's like he just put on weight, he just kind of slowed down a little bit, still producing at the top, but you could clearly see that he wasn't the same player that he was at Barcelona. Let me think of another one. Casemiro, Real Madrid doing bits, Manchester United doing bits, then suddenly just dropped off. You could look at Julio Cesar, Inter Milan. For a few years he was the best keeper in the world. I still don't know, I can't remember why he left Inter Milan, but went to QPR and he just fell off. Those are the only ones I can think of off the top of my head, and I don't want to, this is the video, so I don't want to keep it for too long, but what I'm saying is I'm not surprised that he's slowing down, but I think now would be the best time to get as much as you can for him. But this is an update from a tweet that I was talking about earlier in the video. Reported by The Athletic, Ineos will not hesitate if they see a sufficient evidence that a change of manager is needed. Basically, if Erik Ten Hag messes up or decides he wants to leave or anything like that, if Erik Ten Hag leaves the door open for him to walk out, Ineos will push him out the door, effectively. And I think that will be the right thing. It doesn't matter if it's Ten Hag or anybody else. If there is a better option out there and there is clear reason as to why you should be, I guess, sacked, then you get sacked. But since we are at the end of the episode, of course, you will hear me have to go through the protocol. If you haven't already, make sure you leave a like on the video and also hit that subscribe button to make sure you are able to keep up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news with daily content over here on mufcMPB's YouTube. Make sure you're also following mufcMPB over on X to keep up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news instantly, as well as myself and the other presenters. All of our links will be in the description down below. Also, let me know in the comment section, would you be getting rid of Casemiro? What do you think of Jadon Sancho? Would you let him have another chance at Manchester United? And I want to know your thoughts on Adrian Rabiot and Ronald Araujo. But until next time, I will see you guys later. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.